Let's talk about modern light guns. Why has the world suddenly gone so crazy for the Sinden light gun? I mean, is it just because we can finally play light gun games on modern televisions? Of course not. We've been able to play these games ever since the original transition to LCD televisions back in the days of the Nintendo Wii or the PlayStation 3. And we've been able to play these games on PCs for a number of years using the Ultimark AimTrak. But what Sinden promises is a new way to go about it. So let's compare Sinden to AimTrak. AimTraks use an IR sensor bar that the gun can see, and it uses that to track movement, just like the Nintendo Wii used to do. But the main problem with this is that once you calibrate your gun, you can't move from that position, or if the calibration is going to be off. So unless you want to constantly be recalibrating, you would usually rely on an on-screen crosshair to make up the difference. This eventually turns light gun gaming into less of a point-and-shoot experience where you're aiming a gun and more of a pushing a crosshair around a screen using your light gun as like a wand or something. Sinden comes into the market with a new technology that doesn't use these IR sensors. Instead, it has software that superimposes a white border around the screen, and this border is seen by the gun and used to track movement. The system doesn't need to be recalibrated when you move around, left, right, up, down, tall people, short people. It's pretty awesome. And a lot of people have ordered them. Too many, in fact. In fact, I ordered mine in August of 2020, and at the time of this video, in April of 2021, there's still no confirmed shipment date for my order. But I've also had my reservations with the Sinden tech, and I'm not alone. A lot of people have complained about the white border taking up screen real estate, or just plain being ugly or distracting. But I'm more worried about the Sinden front-end software. This software needs to be running anytime the gun is in use. And if you're using two guns, you need two instances of the software running side by side. I start to worry about when those Sindens arrive, if I'm going to have any trouble getting my front ends to translate from the AimTrak to the Sinden, where I have to superimpose and start this software up. And especially with my shooter cabinet only having a 22-inch screen, I'm wondering how much that white border is really going to cut into the limited real estate I already have. That brings me to the topic of this video, the GUN4IR system. The GUN4IR system was developed by JayBee of JayBee Game Labs as a DIY project with a focus on versatility and accuracy. It uses IR sensors, like the AimTrak does, but instead of a single LED bar, it uses 4 points, one on each side of the screen to track movement. This gives the same level of accuracy that we've been seeing with Sinden, but with no external processing. That means no software needs to be running when you're using these guns. Once you set up your gun in the GUN4IR GUI, everything is written straight to the Arduino that's inside the gun. And similar to the Ultimark software for AimTraks, you never have to go back and open the GUI again unless you want to go and make software configuration changes. JayBee's GitHub page has tons of documentation on how to set up the GUN4IR system, how it can be customized with any shell, airsoft gun, Nerf gun, old light guns, how you can add rumble motors, recoil solenoids, RGB lighting, etc., etc. It just goes on and on. But JayBee doesn't sell kits or pre-made guns just yet. That's where Ray over at RPEG Electronics comes in. Ray is building pre-made GUN4IR kits with various customized options. He's modded Namco arcade guns, PlayStation G-Cons, PS2 GunCon 2s, and my favorite, the real arcade Jolt Gun. Ray had previously built me some custom AimTraks that were inside a pair of Jolt Gun shells. I fell in love with the moving slide, the semi-auto, full-auto recoil selector switch, and the optional foot pedals. I asked Ray if he thought he'd ever be able to fit a GUN4IR system inside one of these Jolt guns, and he said, "No way, there isn't enough room." But I think Ray likes a challenge, because a day later he wrote back and said, "Hey, after 14 hours of tinkering, I did it. So here's my Jolt gun with the GUN4IR system in it." Setup was pretty easy once I found the best place to mount the 4 IR modules. Now you should note that the GUN4IR system and AimTrak do not play well together. The two different IR sensor systems interfere with each other. Something else that got upgraded with this new Jolt gun is the recoil system. Instead of the manual selector switch between semi-auto and full-auto recoil that I had on my last Jolt gun, Ray made a custom recoil setup that can be configured with the GUN4IR GUI, making the semi to full auto recoil changeover automatic simply based on how long you hold the trigger. And this can be totally customized inside the GUI. This is especially great for games where you have to pistol, but then you can pick up fully automatic weapons mid-game. I'll be linking JayBee's GitHub page and Ray's YouTube storefront pages in the description below. Check them out, and if you're in the market for some new light guns, I definitely recommend trying these out for yourself.